that. What's up, Tom Seymour?
Hey, everyone. It's Tom Seymour from VHS Massacre.
I love it. Hi, everybody. Hi. It's almost comical. Almost comical.
And
What's
I'm
going
here
on?
with Mr. Tim Kulig of
That's
Tim
me.
Kulig Free Music.
That's what I do. Although I haven't done a lot of it this year.
Not
Not yet, anyway.
He put out a great royalty-free music album called Raiders of the Ark. Excellent tunes. And actually, Tim had another album he put out. Borked Get was pretty good. That was last year, I'm pretty sure. And then...
Yeah, the cyberpunk one?
Yeah. There's a number of them that I'm using on a project that we're working on, which I will talk about.
What's crazy, dude? What's crazy is I know you missed like half of those last year.
Yeah.
Like there's still this like level of discovery that you're going through. And it blows my mind because of all people on this planet, everybody listening, Tom's the person I share all this stuff with in the whole process. Like he has stuff that is exclusive to him because it's versions that never made it to the final cut. And it ends up being, I mean, they're produced well enough that they're good enough to be in something, but it'll always be his. It's kind of like a special deal he and I have. Like,
yeah,
he gets like super secret access to things before they're published. So
yeah, and they're always, super professional sometimes, but like some of you might add like another patch to some other tune you're doing, but I like having like, because sometimes the simpler
you perk
stuff,
up about it. You're like, this is like my special. Like I get phase like 1.2 as opposed to like 3 is the final version.
That's the underground filmmaker in me. Yeah. For anyone who needs royalty-free music for your feature-length films or your YouTube videos or video games, anything, podcasts, check out Tim Kulig Free Music. Always great shit. And so I have a number of stuff I wanted to get through. I don't know if you had a particular agenda, but I definitely do.
Yep. No, let's hit it, man. This is Tim and Tom talking. As stuff comes up that I want to talk about, I'll bring it in. I mean, that's one of the other things I was going to say quick is this whole distribution conversion I did like a month and a half ago to Frequency Digital. It's opened up my mind to a bunch of other places that I'm not maximizing my back end royalty collections. And one of those places is this crazy space called Neighboring Rights, and didn't realize I didn't have somebody for that. So I actually have a meeting this week with somebody to talk about that. And that's like Neighboring Rights is like performance revenue when it's like on the radio or TV, and like a specific carve out of that. And you have to assign that to somebody or it just sits there. And so now it's kind of like finding all these buckets that don't have somebody managing or watching them and making sure somebody's managing and watching them,
That's great. Yeah, that's great news. Yeah.
It's a crazy thought. Like, you got to have your finger on a bunch of different things to make sure that everything that is deserving of you comes and flows to you. So just kind of neat. Well, so this year is turning into more of an admin year than it is composition year. Although I think third and fourth quarter, I'll have a lot more stuff to publish because I've been doing a bunch of ideas and just haven't developed much of them yet. Just kind of dropping some stuff down, getting back into that Monday, Friday thing again. And come July, I'll start firing out stuff. I have a rough estimate. I don't want to like put a governor on the year, but it's probably going to be around 100 tracks, and I've already done great. 11. So
yeah, hundreds fantastic.
Yeah,
that what you're saying with the royalty free stuff, that's not that different from when I put out a movie with MVD or something. There's not a lot of money up front, but it'll be put on, let's say, like a dozen streaming platforms. And based upon the plays, in some cases, it's money deals. Like, we'll just pay, it's not that much, It'll be like, I'll pay you $200 for this film. They deal in bulk.
Right.
So MVD represents, it's got to be tens of thousands of films. So they'll be like, okay, we want 100 docs and 100 horror movies. We'll pay you $200 a piece. And that's just how it is. But then other deals like Tubi, it's like you'll get money will trickle in, and it's cool because you can. That's one way of interpreting like whether something's getting some kind of traffic. So that can be definitely exciting.
Yeah, analytics and feedback, biggest challenge I think with all this stuff in digital spaces, because not all platforms are very disclosive as far as what goes on in the background. So you're kind of at the mercy of what they share for metrics and analytics,
Yeah. Well, I can tell you, I guess I think this will segue well into a bunch of stuff I want to talk about in a roundabout way. But so to show this off, Tim and I did this documentary, American Expendables. It was distributed by Vinegar Syndrome and created by ETR Media. And this was a particularly very proud moment. This was it. The weird thing about this is this, in a weird way, it took years to make, but in another way, when I got serious about it, it took kind of a few months to kind of polish up and make happen. And I wouldn't say this is the most thorough documentary I've done. I just think, that's being honest. But the fact that it's action-based, it's action film-based, meant that it went in some ways a lot further than a lot of stuff we've done. And so this is a weird thing about, similar to music, it's not necessarily about the toil and how much incredible effort you put into something. Some things just sell better than others. And the timing was good on this. They were doing a Tiger Claws 1 through 3, like 4K Blu-ray, like re-release or something like that. And this went along with it great.
Mm-hmm.
And the other lesson for this is really try to appreciate stuff when it happens. You really never know, like I never took it for granted that it was put out through Vinegar Syndrome. I always thought that was cool, and I was really thankful to ETR Media. And maybe we'll do something with them down the road a bit, but they don't take everything, and that's something I'll get into down the road. And it's no sour grapes or anything. Those guys are awesome. It's just they can't. They just can't.
They have to make choices, right? They have to make business choices as to what they take and what they don't. And maybe it just doesn't match the catalog that they have,
Yeah. And so one of the things, so the Vinegar Syndrome thing was a big deal for that film. The other thing was it won a gold Telly Award, which is going to segue into the Telly Awards.
Mm-hmm.
So recently, Tim and I won the Silver Telly Award for Best Documentary for our film Video Dreams. So I'm going to show you what a silver Telly looks like. I have a silver one right here.
Woohoo!
And the silver,
it's pretty.
This one was for McLeod, actually. Silver Telly, it's a nice big award, and it's a very significant award. It started out as kind of the answer to the Emmys. It was started in the late 70s, but it dealt more with independent and local television. And so as the years went on, it segued into more of an international award and represented all sorts of, like, every network, everything from HBO to like filmmakers like you and I.
Mm-hmm.
So there's different categories for each one. And so, it's definitely a very meaningful award. It's also an award, unlike the Emmys, which you have a handful of nominations and that's it. And it's very complicated. Like if you think about, let's say there's 5 nominations in a category for the Emmys. Okay, but how many brilliant pieces of films or TV shows would go in that category? Maybe 100, and they're going to pick 5. Did they watch all 100? Did they watch all 1,000 that were good? So this is why the Tellys, I think, is a lot more significant. It's merit based.
Mm-hmm.
If you kicked ass and production values are great, you did a very well executed job, it's possible to win. And they don't, they'll give out multiple awards in the same category. So I think it's super cool. I wanted to show a bronze. This is a nice bronze.
And they're heavy, by the way. They're a heavy award. They're significant. They're not. There's nothing cheap about them. They got a nice base. They got a good center of gravity.
Yeah. That's the bronze pretty much looks like a gold. It's very similar, the hue. And this one was for VHS Massacre 2. And so these are nice as well. And then recently, I was running out of room. That sounds like a douchey thing to say. I was running out of room on my.
I got so many awards here.
I had these made up, and these are just like a little.
Yeah, I like those, dude.
Yeah,
they're like would you call those, like a lucite case? I feel like I'm quoting Safe Men right now.
Is that like a lucite case? Yeah. So I had these made up just to go sit next to them. And maybe down the road I'll buy some more statuettes, but it just was getting pretty crazy. But I'm very proud of the 2 Tellys I have, and so Video Dreams is like chronicles the last 30 years of my filmmaking. So this one's a little more significant than a lot of But the gold is super rare. It's something like only 3% of people win a gold or something like that. So anyway, so I would recommend it. It's definitely. It's definitely a cool thing. Anyone can enter the Telly Awards, so I think it's super cool.
Yeah, it is a really cool film festival, and there's a lot of submissions into that festival. But again, it's got a whole judging council that manages and oversees all the stuff, and that people are actually watching it and giving it the eyeballs and the attention it needs to give a good determinant to whether or not it should be given some praise or not. So
Yeah.
it's really cool stuff.
So Video Dreams, we talk about this a lot, but it's on the film festival circuit. It's towards the tail end of the film festival run. It will basically run through the summer, and then really around October, it's going to pretty much conclude. And so there's only about a dozen film festivals left to hear from. And so it felt like a good time to try to play this on public access television. So that's something I investigated with one of our friends, John Navarro, the Emmy-nominated John Navarro, actually. So we're going to try our hand at submitting to public access. They want it. It's very interesting. So in Queens, the public access station is called QPTV. And if you want to, like, I think it's called Cablecast, when you have a piece of content and you just want to submit for them to potentially play, versus being a producer on a show and having a whole thing. But they require like 2 forms of ID, I think proof of address, and then 2 different forms you have to fill out. And then there's 2 different lengths. They seem to prefer something is around a half an hour, and then something is about another format is just shy of an hour.
Right.
So I was able to make a cut of, Video Dreams that was an hour long, and it's interesting. So we'll have to see what happens with that. But, you have to try something new to get something new, right?
That's right. And is that particular station an Emmy qualifying station? Is it certain public accesses that are, or is it any public access?
I would have. That's a very good question. I don't know. I would imagine they would all be, but that might not be true.
Yeah. The reason I bring that up is because I wonder if it would make sense if you can do this, is to look into Nutmeg, because I mean that's kind of your origin, right? That's where you got your start from. I mean, why wouldn't they want to play that? You come back after 30 plus years and have this retrospective, and they actually, oh my God, we gave this guy his start here, and this is all the stuff he's done.
It would be cool, but I don't know. Proof of residency.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, my dad was involved with it. He might be a producer on it, I think. I don't know, but I don't know. But
I don't know.
Probably not. So, I mean, that is one thing they seem to be very particular of, that it's community based. Like,
gotcha.
So it's Queen. And the crazy thing about, it's not crazy, but the cool thing about QPTV, I found it kind of endearing. I was like, well, it must go to all 5 boroughs, right? It's like, no, it only broadcasts to Queens.
Really?
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah. So it's like our public access, and
but it's only got so much of a radius.
Yeah. And so remains to be seen. I hopefully they'll play the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And if they do, that'd be awesome. But it's just a reminder to keep researching, keep trying stuff, because you really, there's a lot of opportunities to at least try stuff. You don't always get it. And, that's like what I was saying about, we're trying to find, so Video Dreams is going to be streaming next year.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to deal with that next year. But we were trying to kind of pre-plan some kind of physical media release for 2027, like well after the film festivals are done, and probably after we start streaming with Video Dreams, because the idea is that it streams, people start to know about it, and then the physical media is after.
Mm-hmm.
So the film has some fame through the festival circuit and then streaming, and then people may want to buy it. Because in 2026, the idea of releasing something cold, a new film, that's hard. A lot of people are like collectors, they want to know what they're getting, So anyway, we're investigating that, and there's been some, it's very humbling, Tim. Like, sometimes you think you're too cool for school, and then there's just like a wake up, like, man. Because we won 25 awards, 50 official selections, and it's like you would think that would go farther than it does, But at the end of the day, Blu-ray is a product, and they have to be confident that they could sell it.
Yeah, and for it to be cost effective, they have to press things in batches of 1,000 or whatever, and there's costs associated with the J card or whatever you call it, the exterior of the thing,
slip cover.
If they end up doing a slip cover, that's even more expensive. Like a standard Amaray with the insert on the inside is one thing, but you do that plus the slip cover, that's a more expensive product. You know what I mean? Because that requires another thing being printed, another thing being handled. But all this stuff means nothing if the actual product doesn't sell, right? And if it's unknown.
Yeah. But we'll figure out a path forward, and that could be trying to press something through MVD or we'll figure it out. But that's just a lesson, man. Just
Don't assume, right?
don't assume,
Yeah.
and just keep going and appreciate stuff while it's happened. Don't take it for granted. So we got that. Let's see. Okay, the Romford Film Festival in the United Kingdom finished up its screen Video Dreams there. Last screening I think was Monday. And
Well, yeah, because it was a multi-day screening, right? It wasn't just a one.
yeah. It
one
was I think like 4 days or something like that.
That's awesome.
And we were nominated for Best Documentary. And Romford Film Festival is it's a top 50 in the UK, so it's fairly significant. And they're very, very warm, friendly people that we interacted with. Obviously, they didn't go to the United Kingdom. That would have been awesome, but expensive.
Yeah.
So that is pretty much, that clears us out in regard to film festivals. We had discussed doing something with New Filmmakers New York, but we may have to push that off till later. They converted to more of an online thing, and they do like month-long online screenings. And that seemed more like streaming, so it worried me a little bit. So I was like, I don't want to do that. So,
Well, especially when we have other people in line, or other festivals rather in line, if there's a thing called geo-locking, right? Where they'll stream it online, and sometimes it's geo-locked to a certain region. Other times it's not. And I think maybe part of the concern is, well, there's other festivals that are still interested in getting access to this thing. If we're going to do an overlap with any of those, it may affect its eligibility in these other festivals, right? So we want to make sure going forward, the run does the thing, and then we can deal with streaming, like you said, towards the end, the tail end of this thing, which we're kind of at this point. I mean, there's a handful over the summer and then a handful in the fall that are the tail end things, right? Did we get a response with, or did we submit to Smodcast? I think that's one of the places, the one in New Jersey.
Oh yeah, that is literally opening up, I think, Monday.
Okay.
I think they open Monday. We'll submit to that as soon as possible. They are doing a Lloyd Kaufman retrospective, I think, in June, I think.
Yeah, I saw that. Kevin Smith and his because I follow that channel on Facebook or wherever on socials, and they did a big advertising blitz about that, about having him there as a Q&A panel and guest, which is really cool. It's really, really cool. It's not that far from New York. I mean, how far away is Smodcastle from New York City?
I think it's like an hour and a half or something. It's really not that bad. Yeah, I was looking at it. So yeah, so we'll submit to that, and there's no guarantee there. The cool thing is I do correspond with some of the people over there. I'm not friends with them or anything, but unlike a lot of other film festivals where mom's the word, we entered their horror film festival, and they were like, we actually like your film, but maybe try the regular Smodcastle Film Festival. And they were like, you have to re-enter, and it's the judge's decision, but maybe try that. It's like, okay.
That was really good advice, because a lot of festivals, they'll take your fee and they'll just reject you. Whereas these people took it another level and suggested the main festival versus that genre specific one, which I think that's really cool.
Yeah, I keep hope alive.
That's it.
It's cool. So. Yeah, that would be a lot of fun. And then really I think the brass ring for me would be Chicago Underground. I really do. I think that would be just such a cool thing. I would probably try to go out to that if I could.
Yeah.
So, but we'll see. I think that's like a July. We'll hear back from them in July.
Underground's done really, really well, or rather, Video Dreams has done very well in underground film festivals. I mean, Melbourne alone was a huge shot in the arm. There was the Arizona one, right?
Yeah, and then SynXS in the United Kingdom is
that was big.
That might even be bigger than anything, SynXS. So, but then San Francisco Independent Film Festival, I mean,
that was great too. Yeah, I mean, that's just I'm just jazzed, man. I think this thing had legs and has traveled much further than I anticipated, and to my excitement and to my overall just glee, it's exceeded all expectations, and I'm super pumped, man. These last few, fingers crampy and crossed that, we crossed the finish line with a couple more. But even if we didn't, dude, 25-50 is not a bad ratio of wins versus official selections out of 130, right?
Yeah, the win ratios, it's very good. I would say the one thing that we did not do, and I really wished we would have was we did not. You got to aim high with these things. You got to have dreams. So one of the ideas was to get into an Academy Award or BAFTA qualifying film festival. So we did not do that. Like all of those doors closed, but we did get into a British Independent Film Award qualifying film festival that's in the United Kingdom. And then lo and behold, with other projects, like I was going back and we won like a platinum Remy for, it was called Mark of the Beast at the time, but it's essentially Exorcism of Fleet Marriage. We won the top award. That's a Canadian Screen Award qualifying film festival.
Mm-hmm.
And then VHS Massacre 2 won at Vancouver Horror Show, which is also a Canadian Screen Award. So we've kind of like flirted with
Big festival.
big
Qualifiers, right?
Yeah, but we never got that. And in fairness, the hint is that like from these underground festivals is that it's an underground film.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not meant for those. And but you always want that extra credibility,
Yeah. But it's also like with any art, it's let the art find its audience, right?
Fair enough, yeah.
Yeah, and if the audience for this one was the underground film festival circuit, by all means, right? Like celebrate it for what it is. And Dude, I do that all the time with my music. It's like I have expectations in my head. I literally shouldn't have them at all. Put it out that like do the art for myself first, put it out there, and then let the universe tell me and the audience tell me what the response is, And then if it's only for me, some of the stuff, like, dude, some of my music is only for me. You know what I mean? I'm like, this is some of the best stuff I ever wrote. It's not what resonates. I'm like, fine, that's fine.
Yeah. No, it's true, man. Randomly. So pretty much my favorite horror film is Dawn of the Dead, the George Romero Dawn of the Dead. And so years ago, I wanted to get a George Romero autographed. I learned that you could mail stuff into him and he would, as long as you had all the return packaging and postage, he would sign it and send it back. So I sent it in. Within a month, he had died and I never got anything back. And I was at a horror convention and the poster I ordered was not particularly high quality. It was like an Amazon poster. It was a big one. And I saw it signed and I saw it there. I have no proof it was mine. But even the lady said, well, this was stuff that, we found at his house or whatever. But like, what am I going to say? That's mine. And it could, because it definitely might not have been.
Right.
And so that always bothered me. And then I was looking around on Facebook. I think I'm Facebook friends with Ken Foree, who was the star of Dawn of the Dead. I was like, I need to get this guy's autograph. But all his autographs were like $90, really expensive stuff. His only stuff that was a little cheaper was all the Rob Zombie stuff. He had done like, not quite as iconic as, although there's some good stuff. There's some decent Rob Zombie stuff and he definitely has a fan base. So no shade there.
Right.
But I wanted Dawn of the Dead, So I found this and this was like $35. So it's a signed Ken Foree Dawn of the Dead.
Nice.
But if you look at the top, it says Sean Ken Foree. Now it's still Ken Foree, but it was customized to this fucker named Sean. Fuck you, Sean. But that's also why it was $90 instead of. But I think I'm gonna get like a little. I got a little sticker that I'm gonna like try to put over it.
Yeah. Well, dude, it should be worth more because it's specifically to some person, and it's not just the signature. If you think about it, that's even more rare, right? It's like addressed to a particular. Maybe not.
I don't know.
Am I hoping for something here?
People don't like custom. I mean, if it was, if the guy's name was Tom, that would have been like gold, know, but whatever. Yeah. Nah, it's all good. But no, it's cool to have this autograph. I have a signed Tom Savini, and I actually did. Stephanie did buy me an autographed George Romero mini poster of Night Riders. He did this movie Night Riders with Ed Harris, and it's like that. It was still very. It's still rare, super rare. But so I do have that, and then I have a Day of the Dead Tom Savini autograph. So I'm good. I got my fix.
Yeah. Well, I got Giancarlo Esposito on a Far Cry 6 video game.
That's excellent.
And I bought a PS4 version because it was cheaper.
Brilliant.
Yeah, because it came out for both 4 and 5, but like the 4 was like half the price, and I was like, I just want this for a signature.
Yeah.
So
hell yeah.
And it was like $80 for the pleasure or whatever. But I got to stand in front of him and chat for a second. He wasn't super chatty, but I literally said to him like, dude, I been following your career since Sesame Street, and it got a chuckle out of him. He was like, like, you know, because really, I mean, you think about him with like The Mandalorian and Breaking Bad and all that stuff. I mean, that was late in life, man. You know, where like big fandom for him kicked in like his 50s and 60s. You know, but he had been doing stuff forever. He had been doing stuff like in the 70s beyond. So it just goes to show you.
I forget what movie. It might have been King of New York or something. I don't remember. But yeah, he's in like a lot of stuff where you're like, oh.
And you looking back in time, he's like unrecognizable in some of the movie. Like, kind of like, I don't know, what a good example of that is probably, what is it? God, I don't want to draw a blank on this, but The Professional,
Luc Besson? You're talking about?
No, the actor, the antagonist actor. Why am I
Gary Oldman?
Gary Oldman. That's it. Yeah. He can be completely different from movie to movie to movie.
Yeah.
And you're just kind of like, wow, you're a chameleon. It's amazing. Whereas some people just are like the Jeff Goldblums of the world. They just play themselves.
Yeah,
you know?
that's actually a real problem. It was, oh God, this is terrible. I forget his name too. So who played Marcus Aurelius in Gladiator? It was Harris. It's not Ed Harris. It's
Marcus Aurelius. Do you mean that wasn't Joaquin Phoenix? Was it?
No.
He was
Richard Harris. It's Richard Harris. Anyway,
okay.
Richard Harris's kid, his name, Jared Harris. So Jared Harris is like, if you saw Jared Harris, he's a chameleon as well. And he told this whole story about, so he ran into Danny DeVito and they were working on a project together. And so Danny DeVito goes up to him. He goes, basically, I love your work. You know, you're amazing. You know, he said something like, it's got to be so hard for you because he said something that sounded like insulting, but it wasn't. It was like, no one's ever going to remember you, you know? And he's like, well, what do you mean? He goes, you're always starting from square one. You're such a chameleon. You're in a film and people don't know who you are. And then, you know, maybe they realize later or whatever. He goes, people like me, like they know exactly who I am in every movie. You know what I mean? So it was an interesting story. I probably butchered that. Sorry, that was...
No, it's fine. No, it does resonate with me because there are some actors out there that, you know, you just see them and every role they take on is significantly different from the other. And you have to understand their whole career to have a real appreciation for what they're doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Whereas, you know, again, I'm not picking on Jeff Goldblum, but Jeff Goldblum plays Jeff Goldblum when he plays
film. Yeah.
When he plays... And Jeff Goldblum's a great character. So if the casting director did the right thing, he's a great asset to the film. You know, comic relief, a little quirky. Right?
It's the same thing with a lot of leading men.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Clint Eastwood or Gene Hackman or Kevin Costner or Harrison Ford.
And then you look at action people. I mean, obviously, every action film that they do, that's their character. Their character is the lone man. You know, the one person that makes the difference, that kind of thing. And it's just that trope, right? That repeated plot point that just works if the person's got the je ne sais quoi for that character, you know, in various movies.
Yeah. But I mean, then you get like Liam Neeson did a very strange thing where he was doing all this stuff with like Schindler's List and Spielberg and like Krull, all these like fantasy movies, and then he becomes an action star like in his mid to late 50s
for like 15, 20 years.
Through his 70s, yeah. And now he's doing comedies. The guy's like 70, I think, you know?
Yeah. Which blows my mind because I think I've seen one or two of the literally dozens of action movies that he's done. And they like Taken or something, like the first Taken was the big one. You know, I have a very particular set of skills, you know, like that famous little clips and whatever. But there's a whole bunch of other ones that are supposedly really good and really into, like, I've got them on my Amazon, you know, watch list or whatever. I'm sure I won't get to all of them, but a bunch of them are supposedly decent.
They're really not that bad. Yeah. It's kind of like, you know, Russell Crowe films. Like I'll watch him in anything. Like I watched Land of Bad. That was cool. Unhinged was cool. He's got 2 different Priest movies. I watched one of them. I thought it was cool. He's just really good. Like people just like to see him, you know?
Yeah.
So, but anyway, so real quick, this is a segue back to the stuff that Tim and I are working on. We're basically at rough cut with this new documentary we're working on called Enter the Television.
Mhm.
It's about the sort of darker corners of television advertising and independent television, and has Rhonda Shear, Debbie Rochon, Lloyd Kaufman, and John Brennan from Last Drive-In. And so we're pretty close. We have some Debbie Rochon stuff, and then Debbie's going to give us some more stuff, and then I think we'll have all the pieces in place. And
Yeah,
I
all
think,
principal photography will be done.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So needs a lot of cleaning up and tweaking and everything, but I'm slowly gaining a little confidence in the project. It seems to be, this thing is kind of like, it's kind of like sculpture. You're shaping it into something. So it's slowly coming into focus. And yeah. So, and then we'll have to see like what to do with it. Like,
Mhm.
Video Dreams we're going to have to figure out what it is. Is Enter the Television more like American Expendables?
Right.
Is it
Right.
is it more sellable and marketable than Video
Well,
Dreams?
Well, see, Video Dreams, and this statement is in no way, shape, or form minimizing what it takes to edit and be in front of your computer and do this. But Video Dreams was on rails to the degree that we were talking about a 30-year retrospective, right? Like things had to go in a certain order in order for that
Yeah.
for that movie to become what it became. With this movie, with Enter the Television, there's a lot of trial and error as far as where you drop things in the timeline. And if you take, point C and put it where point A is and swap those things out, it tells a completely different story, right? And every time you move something around, you truncate something. You don't linger on a certain aspect of what we're talking about. It changes the whole mood. It changes the whole thing. So that in and of itself makes me feel like it'll probably be like American Expendables in the sense that we have these multiple break periods where you get to a point with edits that it kind of blurs for you.
Yeah, well,
And
I'm in that now.
yeah, where you need to just sit and just kind of absorb it for what it is at the moment. And oftentimes, just for the audience is perspective, oftentimes that means for the most part, the bulk of it is where it needs to be. Now it's about tweaking it and actually fulfilling the story and understanding what story is being said behind everything, right? The overarching.
It could be missing things that bridge things together. It could be missing, like one of the things I did was I cut out the first 2 minutes of it and replaced it with a more defined thesis at the beginning.
Yeah.
And I think that helped some things. And then, we got to keep trimming stuff down and all that stuff. So, this thing is fully built in post-production. It's so it is interesting to see what will become of it. How will it be seen or judged? It's a lot of, I talk about this a lot, but you have to obsess over this stuff. You get a commercial, you put it into place, and it looks ratty. It's clearly it was recorded on VHS and dumped onto YouTube 12 years ago. So you're dealing with 12-year-old YouTube compression. There's tracking lines on the bottom and the top. So it's almost like cutting the edges off a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. You're cropping all that. You put it, how big can I get away with putting it? Like I'm still struggling with this stuff. Like,
because you're talking standard definition in some cases, right?
Yeah,
like
literally 320i by 240. I mean,
to blow that up to even 1080p, it looks like garbage, right?
Yeah. So there's a lot of tactics, and so in commercials in particular, no one gave a fuck about preserving those things.
No,
it's not that, cinema, so you
or at least it wasn't perceived that way back in the day. Nowadays, everything has a high production value because, I mean, from your phone to,
it's digital,
a digital camera you can get like a EOS or something like that. That's got 4K and you can film pretty much anything at that high level.
Ironically, what doesn't look terrible is the very old stuff, like the Flintstone cigarette commercials, because those were shot on film.
Right. I was just going to say.
And also animation, for some reason, is cleaner.
Mm-hmm.
Animation can be cleaner, even if it's the same resolution.
That's wild.
It's art, it's like a picture. And so even some of the Beverly Hillbillies, I think that was shot on film, maybe, but some of that stuff looks cleaner.
Yeah.
So it's weird, but I will say, early 80s stuff, holy shit. that is some of the worst.
Especially the locally banned stuff, right?
Yeah.
Because that was, I mean, Super VHS, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. I remember doing one for Cruise and Cuisine back in Connecticut, and we were shooting this, and it ended up being on MTV and a couple other stations and stuff. We'd show up at Denny's in Southington and be like, "Hey, it's the how about Chinese guy?" And I'm like, "Dude, I'm in the commercial for 3 seconds, right? I'm literally in the commercial for 3 seconds, and people would recognize me." I'm like, "That's crazy." I'm like, how is that even possible?"
It's the white Chinese guy. Awesome.
That was literally my line. Like, we're going through a bunch of different people, and like my suggestion was getting his Chinese, and it was 3 seconds. You know.
Awesome. Yeah. So anyway, it's been interesting. We'll have to see. The other thing is too is like, how weird is this shit? Like, I connect with a lot of it, but does anyone else? Like,
Well, we felt the same way about American Expendables, and then
Yeah.
like we were interested in it, so maybe somebody else will be. I feel the exact same way about this, if not more so, because I feel like this is based on what you said earlier about nobody was really looking to preserve this, so the quality of what we have to find for archival footage is pretty low. In some cases, we do find upscaled versions of stuff, and that's what you're putting into the end edit. But in our initial pass and our initial exploration of this, when we were just shooting the shit and doing some podcasting and coming up and bringing some of those videos to light, it's something near and dear to me, because it's like, wow, that's just a part of history that it'll get lost if somebody doesn't talk about it. And I think it's something that shouldn't be, you know? I mean,
I think there's like a curation. You know, found footage people are really good at this. They have these live shows and they'll curate a bunch of weird shit they find. Like a lot of it's educational videos and stuff like that.
yeah.
Instructional, industrial, and stuff like that. But I think something like Under the Television, it will be polished as much as humanly possible to a point where it's a curated bulk of things that tell a story. And I think that should have value. It's never going to be like a comprehensive history of television or anything like that. It's very much like VHS Massacre. It's going to be more of a sampler.
Yeah.
But the overarching theme is like, let's look at some of the tactics that these media conglomerates use, and let's be aware of,
Yeah.
you know, and then basically tout the independent content creator as the creative lifeblood.
Yeah. Yeah, because you could go down rabbit holes for all sorts of things. You can go down rabbit holes of the 50s, you know, the 50s and 60s and the commercials that were allowable at the time, and how, you know, marketers were marketing adult products to children in a very not so subtle way.
Yeah.
Right. And which is completely inexcusable and undoable in the modern world. There's just the sensitivities are just completely different than they were 70, 80 years ago. There's also subject matter and things you can do on screen. You know, there was a long time frame where, you know, you couldn't show yourself smacking your lips or doing certain things on screen because FCC standards were like, no, you don't want to see somebody's tongue in a commercial. You know what I mean? And
it's like lewd or whatever. Yeah.
And
it wasn't a law, but it was like frowned upon.
Like a standard unspoken rule. Right.
Yeah.
It was considered just kind of icky to do.
Yep.
You know, now I feel like with modern music and I don't know, just the loosening of FCC things with language on
now.
TV. It's like,
well, and
wow.
it's weird because like some of the FCC stuff, like a lot of that stuff still applies. So you literally have like cable and streaming who can get away with kind of whatever they want. Like, you know, it's like Netflix or Amazon. If Amazon makes a show, they'll have nudity, they'll have violence, and nothing will get flagged because Amazon runs the infrastructure and runs the show.
Yeah, they curate it.
And it's not broadcast television. But
Right.
those initial networks are still under some of these rules. That's why like Kimmel or Colbert or, you know, they seem to leave SNL alone. But they'll get flagged occasionally because they're under these like very out of date FCC guidelines, you know?
Right. Well, SNL also, to its defense, is so late at night. First of all, it's beyond a certain time frame where they've loosened up some of that stuff. I remember them back in the 80s or 90s, you were able to say shit and asshole and like dickhead and stuff like that after 10 o'clock at night or 11 o'clock at night or something. Just no F-bombs still, but a lot of stuff you can say now when it's late enough at night because they figure, all right, people that are young enough to be exposed to this and shouldn't be exposed to this, shouldn't be awake or shouldn't be viewing this at this point.
And as a matter of fact, it kind of brings us around to Rhonda Shear, right? She was on USA Network, which was cable, but it was like free cable in a way, right? It was
no, it wasn't a paid channel.
It wasn't a paid channel. Yeah,
it was a standard.
Yeah,
that was standard.
It was
cable.
in the package, but you're still paying for cable, right? And you're still
understood. Yeah.
So I guess not true.
But even basic cable
cable,
included USA.
Yeah, totally. But that was a thing where they could get away with even a little more. So her stuff would play at night, and they would still have to censor,
Mm-hmm.
But that was like one step even further. And then, of course, there was like paid, like you're saying, paid cable channels like Cinemax, which was nicknamed Skinemax, right?
Right.
And HBO and all that stuff. Yeah. So which could show Cinemax could. I remember it being kind of like everything. I mean, just short of, adult content.
Yeah, right. They pushed the envelope with that channel, with that station, and you had to be a subscriber to it. And the only thing my folks were subscribers to are HBO. So that was the extent of my R-rated or NC-17. Well, that wasn't even a thing yet. Not until we were out of high school. I think that start being like an actual thing, like no one at all admitted after 17 kind of thing, or
NC-17
under 17. Yeah,
I forget
because all that stuff happened in the 80s.
Yeah, I know PG-13 for sure. It was like Temple of Doom was the one, which makes no sense if you watch Temple of Doom.
Yeah, what was the blood?
Should be R. I mean,
yeah, even more so. There's a lot of blood and gore, and it wasn't so much the language; it was the violence.
But again, like just these two, and brilliant. Obviously, no one needs to defend Spielberg and Lucas. They're awesome, but it's like only those guys could get away with it. Just like you rip a guy's heart out of his chest while it's still beating, and you're like, yeah, okay,
all right, PG-13.
All right, we'll make a new rating for you guys.
Well, that's the crazy thing is that there's like Pretty in Pink or 16 Candles. Molly Ringwald. Oh, it wasn't just her. I think like within the first 5 minutes, she has an F-bomb. It's a PG movie, by the way. First 5 minutes of the movie, I can't believe it. They forgot my fucking birthday, right? First 5 minutes, right? There's 2 more in that movie, and it's PG, right? So I think what happened in the early to mid 80s is like, they're pushing we need to have, it was when like the music industry, like all the CDs were getting their freaking labels, like this is like, mature, blah, blah, like these labels. That was the whole Tipper Gore thing, right? Where like, we're corrupting the youth, blah, blah, blah.
Or who was that guy? The Connecticut Lieberman, right?
Yeah.
With his, it's like Mortal Kombat and Night Trap. They were showing that stuff. Like, it's typical stuff. Video games cause violence.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, like, you see PG-13, there's a chance you're going to see a boob, and there's a chance you're going to get an F-bomb, or both, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then you get some movie like As Good as It Gets, and there's 3 F-bombs in that, and that got past the FCC, and it's still a PG-13 movie. Your brother used to, one time, didn't do it repeatedly. It happened once where it was on in Terryville, and he got pissed because there was a kid in the store or something like that, and Helen Hunt says an F-bomb like very directly, and she's like, "Dude, you can't have that on." I'm like, totally forgot it was in there. Sorry.
Yeah, it's tough, dude. There's a lot of sneaky language in a lot of those films from that era.
But you like that was the reason for the rating. It was so you could be like, oh, okay, this is going to be safe to play in here. I can get away with this, and because you had to be like benign, because at any moment, young kids could be in the store.
Flight of the Navigator, or something.
Or like one of the Star Wars. If they're gonna get mouthy, it's gonna be benign mouthiness, like you're a jerk. Like that kind of thing, as opposed to like fuck you.
Yeah.
So, but that whole evolution is crazy. I know we went on this huge tangent, but like that evolution is like something you want to capture, because the history of sensitivities of all that stuff in film and TV and commercials specifically, like commercials got really risky, or risque over time. It used to be very, very subtle things, like if there's going to be some sexiness or some one person coming on to another person or whatever. And now it's like, man, between how people dress in it, the sexual tension and suggestiveness of it, it's a much different level than when I was growing up. for sure.
Yeah. I mean, it's all tactics.
Yeah.
It's like they say, like sex sells. It's true.
Hmm.
It's just you. It's the Kuleshov effect that we talk about in the doc. It's like, and I actually got to get you to narrate a little section of that, but
Oh, that's right. That's right.
it seems obvious, but if you show a bunch of sexy people and sexy activity
And a beer.
and show the product,
Yeah.
that's all you need. People make the mental connection as long as you're not saying it directly, which I think would be hilarious. Like, drink this beer if you want to hang out with sexy women. That I think that would be hilarious. But
My
or
God,
sexy people.
It sounds like Russian propaganda.
You know,
is the way that
they
you're
should
saying
do
it.
that with a guy sitting in a room by himself, a filthy guy. Drink this beer if you want to hang out with
women
sexy
come
people.
to you.
He's by himself. That would also be a Kuleshov effect, because it would be like, no, it won't.
Not at
It
all.
won't.
Like the exact opposite.
Yeah. So it's definitely interesting, and we go into a lot of in the doc, go into a lot of those tactics, and I hope it will be enough. I think we hit enough. You in the doc, you hit some really good points. Like, it's like there's a commercial for candy. I won't go into it, but there's a guy with a bookshelf behind him in a suit, holding his pair of glasses, speaking as an expert. And you bring up a very good point about this representing expertise.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
visually stimulating you to believe that this person has expertise.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, and those are standards that we're either conditioned to believe, or over time, we just see a well-dressed, professional-looking individual with glasses, like without glasses, with glasses. For whatever reason, this looks more
like
academic.
I think they were doing this.
This
kind of thing. Yeah, and it's all like these communication tactics. But now, sometimes, to their credit, they'll actually get real doctors. That's they'll say, I am a real doctor or whatever. I guess that's helpful. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's just as bad. Maybe it's worse. I don't know.
Yeah. There's talk. I heard that there was some chatter or rumor that we might be trying to reduce, or I doubt we'll eliminate it, but a reduction of prescription advertising on television. We're one of 2 countries that do it, and the only other country is New Zealand, and it's very limited. And the unbridled way in which we do it, I feel, is reckless, because it just creates this. I don't know. Everything can be solved with a pill. Really can't. Really can't. You know what? A bad diet can't be solved with a pill or with a bypass surgery. It's with rare exception of genetic or physical issues that somebody's body is having. It really comes down to discipline and exercise and looking at what you should be putting in your body.
Speaking of which, I got to take a bathroom break.
Okay.
Sorry.
I'll do the same thing.
Yeah. And those pharmaceutical commercials are doing the same tactics, with showing people like running around in fields in perfect bliss.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay,
Meanwhile, there's 3 dozen side effects that this one pill is going to give you. And it's like, at that point, is it worth it?
In the doc, I basically, there's only a few little references to pharmaceutical ads. And I basically just use the selling, when the Flintstones are selling Marlboros, it's the same stuff. The pharmaceuticals, the companies are essentially selling you using similar tactics, and in some cases knowing that the stuff is unsafe. Like in regard to like the cigarettes, those commercials were from the 50s and 60s, and they knew in the 20s that it was bad for you. So pharmaceutical companies are in some cases doing the same thing.
Cleaner cigarette. Look, with a recessed filter. Parliaments, like.
Yeah, I know. It's
just, dude.
It's the same stuff. Or like when Professor James Richardson, he's talking about Saint Ides.
40s.
Selling 40s, Yeah. It's Wu-Tang, I think. Wu-Tang Clan selling 40s, which is just beer, but it's.
Yeah. Again, a non-healthy product, right?
Yeah.
If consumed in excess. And 40 ounces is an excess consumption.
Well, yeah, I mean, because the problem is it gets warm immediately. So you're like, you've got to drink it fast, or, so.
Yeah. That's the whole concept behind long necks, by the way. That's so you can hold it on the neck and you don't actually warm up the beer.
Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah. After the first sip, you're not holding on to any of the liquid. So, because you think about it, your freaking body heat, and especially like in the palms of your hands, you know,
Yeah,
you
well,
just
what is it?
radiate.
It's like 90 degrees, right?
Yeah. 98.6.
Okay, yeah. So it's
Yeah.
gonna warm up real quick.
Especially if you're out in the heat. When do you have a beer? In the summer when it's hot? But yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, it should be interesting. You know, it's mentally. I'm always like, am I covering enough? Am I doing enough? Am I talking about enough? I
Yeah.
do think like you can't do everything with one movie. So
No, you could dive down rabbit holes with propaganda commercials. You can dive down it with prescriptions. You could dive down a rabbit hole with, the professionals, i.e. like the expert video, commercials. Any number of those things could turn into, a half an hour episode. You could turn this into, a documentary series if we really wanted to.
but it's still, and that could be depending on
Yeah.
if this catches any attention. But also, like the other thing too is I'm an audience advocate. I've learned very much the hard way of that. I need to make things entertaining, and
Right.
so it is a trip. It is nostalgic, but it examines nostalgia as a tool,
Mm-hmm.
and so I think people will dig it in that way.
Yeah.
Because you still get the Blockbuster Video, Domino's Pizza, Wilford Brimley. You still get
Right.
like some of the greatest hits, but there's
Without it getting too academic, right?
yeah.
Which there's enough of that in there to give the intellectual trigger in the brain. It's like, like I never thought of it that way, right? But not so much that you get drowned in the minutia of those details.
Yeah.
And it's still entertaining. And I think that's a good line to consider with these, second, third, fourth generation cuts that we have on the horizon, and remind ourselves like, yeah, at the end of the day, is this fun? Is this fun to watch? Because first and foremost, it has to be fun to watch.
It has to be, yeah. If it bogs down in a certain area, and that's what I was saying. Like a scene could literally be 10 seconds too long, and it could ruin it.
Yeah.
So you gotta, it's very much like music, in that way. The pacing's gotta be right,
I've gone back to stuff I've published even just last year or the year before and realized like I overplayed that section. If I had to go back and re-edit that song, I would do it differently today, which honestly, that'd be a great kind of like skip year to do. Go back and remaster stuff in a way that I would have done differently now that I've learned what I've learned. It's kind of a great little exercise, and I can re-edit some things and do things differently and bring different life to tracks. And who knows, maybe those tracks performed averagely and then they perform better because of what I do. But who knows,
Yeah.
But I think that's the key behind art in general, whether we're making movies, I'm making music, we're doing any combination of the two. It's always kind of going back to it and thinking like, how can I do this better? How can I tell a better story, and how can I connect better with the audience for what this is intended for? I think those are really good things to constantly ask yourself. And also, again, just like watching the film and making the music, is it fun? Is it enjoyable? As long as it continues to be enjoyable and it's fun and I have a fun time distributing all this stuff, I will do this until I die, and I don't anticipate switching gears or switching that switch off, because telling stories, and either musically or visually, is just so much fun. We got anything else this week, or are we pretty much it for our updates?
I think we squared it all away, and it's like various holding patterns, man. I think, which is good. Some downtime,
Yeah, I'm 3 months into my new gym journey.
Nice.
I'm feeling pretty good.
Gotta do it, bro.
Man, already got some progressive overload gains to all that, because you got to keep the machine alive, man.
Yeah. Today I tried. So I have 45-pound kettlebells. Today I tried this new move. So you put one at your hip and then you halo around. And then you put it, you kneel on the ground doing it. And so it's like this.
Yeah.
And so I've been doing
massive core workout.
Yeah, it's all abs, but abs, you really get sick of working abs the same way.
Yeah.
So it's good to have different ways to work it.
You can only do so many planks before you're like, can I do something else?
Or crunches, you're just like,
Yeah.
So yeah, But I think I can move up from 45s to maybe I don't know, 55s. That's
Yeah. At this
I
point, like 5-pound increments are probably ideal.
maybe 50s, double
Yeah.
50s.
Yeah.
I like
Because you
double
don't want to hurt
50s.
yourself either.
Well, I
You
don't
know?
I don't do 90-pound swings. I'll
Yeah.
do obviously 90, a lot of other stuff 90 pounds.
Do you do farmer's carries? Do you walk around the house with 45s? You ever do
No, but
that?
I do that with groceries like 3 times a week.
Oh, sure.
I walk several blocks with like 30
It's
pounds
just
of groceries.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. The farmer's carries are supposed to be really good. You do squats. You could do like
Oh yeah,
this-
I do squat. I do 90-pound
yeah,
squats. Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. That's awesome.
So
That's awesome.
I'll move up at some point. Either 50s or 55s, but we'll see. I still
Gotta
use
keep
a
it.
35. What do I use 35s for? Not that much these days, man. I'm
Yeah.
almost totally out of the 35s now.
I've been using this isometric machine at the gym, and basically it's like for incline pressing, chest presses and stuff like that, and like regular chest presses and even shoulder presses and stuff, and very controlled movements, but they're independent on both sides.
That's good, yeah.
And I think I'm up to 100 pounds, so a 45 plate and a 5, so broke that 3-figure number, and you just like as they come up, it like you feel the crunch, like the compression in, and it's
Yeah.
just like googe,
Yeah.
and it just oh man, and you can tell the days that you have the excess energy too. Like there's days that I push it and I do like 12 to 15 reps on the first one, 11, 12 on the second, and I probably should go up next week. And then I
Yeah.
go up the next week and it's like 7 and 5. I'm like, oof, but that's still good. That's
Yeah.
still good.
Oh no,
Like,
that's great.
you know,
Yeah, yeah.
the progressive overload. You got to keep challenging yourself muscle wise. Well, the whole reason I'm doing this is because I don't want to be 70 years old, hunched over, arthritic, all that stuff. Like you got to challenge your bones. You got to challenge your muscles. Even though I have like some muscle stiffness and a few things that are a little out of whack right now, it's like nothing that's too crazy. I had this bursitis on the shoulder. Honestly, dude, like ever since I started doing this, like every week there's like a little bit of improvement.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I'm hanging on to my 40s barely. January, I'll hit the 50 club. But you talk to people in their 50s, that everyone's got they're effed up somehow.
Yeah.
And it's like I will do a double 45. I'll do a swing,
Mhm.
a swing, and then a push up.
Yeah.
And my left shoulder, like every time it hurts.
That's mine too.
Yeah,
It's my left.
I think it's because the way I sleep, something like that.
I often sleep with that under the pillow, and I did for a while.
Yeah, but it hurts. I don't care.
Yeah.
And the other thing is I force myself to do it because I'm like, it's almost like a right arm versus left arm. Like, no, left arm, you got to be able to do this. That is sad. You got to be even, So,
That's right.
Like you're
That's right.
forcing it, but everyone's got something, and it'll continue to be. I mean, I'll do like I'll take the double 45s and just lay on the ground and do chest. I'll do like 25 in a row, and then I'll take 145 and come low and do 20 this way.
Yeah.
And that's just because that's all the weight I have.
Right.
But when I put my hand down to get up off the ground, my tricep will immediately lock up. It'll have full cramp, like, it's like.
That's another thing I was getting into the habit of doing. I was getting into the habit, and I got to do that, but you're just reminding me, getting down onto the ground and getting up from the ground without using my arms at all.
Yeah.
Now, it's supposed to be like you can use your core to get up to a seated position and then slide your legs out underneath each other to push off the ground. Apparently, it's something that as we age, a fraction of people can still do. And as long
it's
as
like
I can do
a
that.
sign of like overall health or whatever.
Yeah.
I tried to do in karate. They used to teach you the roll up.
Mhm.
You swing back and you're seated like Indian style. I don't know
Yeah.
I don't know the politically correct term for that seating.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Legs crossed.
Legs crossed. Sorry.
Yeah.
And then you roll forward and you could stand up. It's dodgy. I can still do it, but I'm like, that does not feel good on your knees and stuff like that.
And you can fall back.
Yeah, for
right.
sure.
Like
Yeah.
if you don't commit to the momentum enough, you're like, oh. And then what do you do? Right.
Yeah, like I saw this guy on TikTok. He looked great. I guess he was supposed to be in his 60s, but he was watching the the commercial I've fallen and I can't get up, which
Yeah.
makes me think, God, maybe I should sneak that one in there.
Right. It is an iconic one.
And he's like, ha ha ha, he's laughing, and is like, and this like the text says, when you realize you're probably the same age as that person, you know, like, oh, God, you know, like, was that person like just in their 60s? You know, who
Yeah.
knows? I mean, they look terrible, but like, it was the 80s. Who knows? You know,
Dude, Wilford Brimley in the 80s was the same age that pretty much what's his face Ant-Man is today. And you
Paul
look at
Rudd,
them side by side
yeah.
and you're just like, Paul Rudd versus him. And I'm like, that dude looked like a grandfather. Paul Rudd looks like somebody. I mean, worst case scenario, maybe he's in a master's program. You know what I mean? Like he still looks young, you know, like what happened? What happened? Because a lot of people in there, I mean, Archie Bunker, freaking a lot of TV people, even like Ted Danson and stuff like that. You look at like Cheers, like a lot of people on Cheers, they all looked older, you know?
Well, yeah, that's some of it. I mean, that still happens. A lot of athletes, contemporary athletes, look far older than they don't look bad. They look very healthy, but like you look at like a baseball player, basketball player, football player in their 20s, they look 40. You know, a lot. So,
but for a long time.
Yeah, it's
you
true.
know, yeah,
that's true.
Yeah. So maybe it's just perception because we're aging, and that reference to other time and the timeline kind of skews our perception of things.
I did see this thing with like where they took the Golden Girls and just put different makeup and hair on, like digitally, and it was like night and day.
Yeah,
you know. So
that part of its style, right?
Yeah,
the style of the time maybe wasn't as flattering as we discovered modernly. So yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, who knows?
Well, dude, this is good catch up. Like we said, tail end of the Video Dreams Festival run. We've got another one on the table that's now in very much post-production. It might be a couple more things to slip in there, like you were saying, some things to take out, some things to put in, but it's in a marination stage. And as far as music is concerned, I've got 200 plus ideas now just floating around. So I'm not even giving myself the stress or the impetus in June. I'm just going to keep throwing down ideas. And then the next phase is going to be third and fourth quarter, which like, okay, how many ideas do I have in this genre? How many do I have in this? And then some other stuff. I've made some promises about some frequency-based like solfeggio sequence music for some of my meditation, Reiki, and manifestation people and everything. And I want to make sure that I stay committed to that, as well as some of the stuff that Kelly over at Dork Tales is looking for later this summer. So I got to jump into those things, but I'm trying not to put too much pressure on myself this year, just because I did kind of, tighten the belt last year and really bring it to get over that 1,000 produced song hump. So
yeah, should really try to enjoy it, this time, this year, really try to do some really fulfilling work,
Yeah. Well, I don't know if I told you this real quick, but I am splitting off the YouTube channels. So now this show is going to have a dedicated channel with short clips and the full episodes on it. Because algorithmically, I was finding that my Tim Kulig free music was kind of too much of a kitchen sink. So now I'm going to create sub-channels to all that. Like I'm literally going to have one that's going to do a bunch of horror shorts and just focus that channel specifically on that. And that'll drive organic traffic to that channel so that people can discover that part of my music, right? And I'm going to also explore that with the orchestral stuff, the meditation, lo-fi, that kind of thing, and just develop it over time. But Liz has helped me make long form stuff too, like 2-hour long video clips that play a whole bunch of the same kind of genre. So somebody could go to the channel and just have it playing in the background, that kind of thing. Just a lot of experimenting, just see how many different ways can we gain viewership and ultimately create a better path for discovery for people on the back end. So, yeah. So.
Cool. Well,
all right, brother.
Thanks everyone for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Sweet.